Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the first ArkFi Secret DAO meeting. We've got the roadmap ahead and a lot of alpha to be revealed. Your host, as always, our fantastic leader, Atlas. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Coach Brad. And folks, welcome. This is our first DAO meeting here on the Ark, and what a day to really be here with all of you as you've been able to witness the great success that's come for the Ark. We're sitting here on this amazing journey together. Every single investor is in the green, smiling ear to ear. Some folks are doing extremely, extremely well. Smart money's coming in. Folks are taking the time to understand what is different here on the Ark. Total vault accounts, 4,630. Steady, beautiful growth all around. Liquidity on PancakeSwap just about to clip 900,000 BUSD, 894,668 BUSD. ILC reserves, massive pump today. We had an 18,000 BUSD buy, 13,000, 9,000, and a bunch of really, really powerful smaller ones that are just taking us to breaking that 500 again. We're going to be doing the Spark Prize a little bit later. It's been an absolute success. The biggest marketing tool that we have here for the organic growth is folks all around really seeing that with $250 into what we consider the foundation contract, having bonds, it's a high yield savings account. We're going to get into how that was all really orchestrated with a grander vision, which we're going to unveil for you here today. So thank you for being here. We're going to go ahead and bring Mr. Crypto Black Sheep from the Degens and have him get us started.
What's up, man? What's up? Yeah. Let's get this crypto! Oh, Black Sheep style!
Man, that has to be like some sort of Guinness World Book record.
Whoa.
I could have gone longer. I didn't want to take up the whole AMA though.
Yeah. Save it for the Q&A.
Right.
Happy days.
Wow.
Thank you, brother.
That's amazing.
Yeah, fun stuff. Thank you.
You gotta start opening those UFC fights.
Right.
All right. So, Brett, are you ready to get started? We got a long presentation. I hope you guys, got yourselves a drink or sitting back, calm, cool, and collected, as is the norm here on the Ark. And Brett's going to lead us through. I'm going to add some commentary as we move forward. And at the end, we'll open it up to a Q&A session here with everyone.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can go ahead and flash the logo. Did you hit the forward button?
Hold on a second.
Gotcha.
Did it work?
I didn't
It's like a
see
little
it.
different.
Unless I just, yeah.
Okay, here we go.
There you go. Yeah, I think once you get past the first slide, there you go. Awesome. So this is a two-part roadmap and then go-to-market strategy. So this whole first section is the roadmap. It will include the new utilities that we've been talking about, the infrastructure upgrade, as well as the phase, what I'm calling phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4. And then the second part of the presentation is the go-to-market strategy, where we talk about how we're going to fund all of this, the use of funds for the legacy NFTs, and then also the revenue generation. So we'll step through first the products, which is the really high-level information about where these utilities can come into and play within the ecosystem, and how each one stands alone as its own business. And our goal is to really build these revenue streams and grow these products into businesses on their own. So on this first slide, this is really the phase 2 of the ArkFi project. So phase 1 being the ROI DApp. So we had a very, I would say, successful launch. And now we've seen the steady growth of the existing ecosystem, which is really DeFi yield products. So we have a way to generate revenue for our investors. And some of that is also flowing back to the treasury, where we've been able to do some subsequent development. We've had a successful launch of the mobile app, the PWA now, which is a nice component to our platform and brings further utility and also access to potential more users in the future. As we see this roadmap unfold, these average Joe and Janes are really our target at the end of the day. And that PWA is a much, much easier, more nimble way to reach a much broader market. So this next phase is all about increasing user adoption and generating revenue for the platform stakeholders. So that also includes the legacy NFT holders, as well as the ArkFi token itself through the daily ROI DApp. So to do that, we've developed a suite of utilities that increase access to decentralized finance and allow users to ultimately become their own bank. So as you see the roadmap progress here, we're going to end up ultimately becoming a crypto bank. And the three main components of this phase 2 are giving our users a way to buy crypto, giving them a way to spend crypto, and obviously they're generating crypto through the ROI DApp, the foundation, and the legacy NFT that already exists, and then also give them a way to remain private. So we know privacy is a very, very big use case, and we'll talk about the business case for that, the market trends for each of the products in the upcoming slides. Atlas, did you want to add anything to that?
No, sir. Thank you. I'll continue in later.
Okay, we can move on. So when we sit back and we look at what the addressable market is, most of the participants in this presentation are very aware of why they're here. Most of us are speculating on huge growth in the crypto market industry in general, and further use case and adoption of cryptocurrencies globally. So right now we're looking at a projected user adoption of cryptocurrencies around 600 million by the end of 2023. And that's a 40% year-on-year growth rate, which is absolutely huge. So this is, as we get into the mass market, we get user adoption of cryptocurrency to the masses, and ultimately, in every household, and it becomes a way of interacting with Web 3.0 and the Internet of Value. We're going to see a huge explosion in the need for tools to bring people into crypto, to allow people to spend crypto, and then also these privacy tools that are going to keep them safe, because now they're custodying their own assets, especially in DeFi. So a couple quick stats here. According to a study by Deutsche Bank, crypto adoption is likely to track internet adoption rates, which is really this movement from Web 2.0 internet now to Web 3. So we're seeing cryptocurrencies following the same adoption curve really as the internet did in its early days. And the value of stored cryptocurrencies is larger than the GDP of Italy. And that's, one of the world's top 10 largest economies. And much of the world's population is in developing countries. They don't have access to banking services. We've talked about the unbanked. So there's about 1.4 billion adults that are unbanked in the world. And the last point there, crypto holders want to spend, not just hold. So they want their cryptocurrency to have utility. They want to be able to spend with it in the real world while holding assets that are away from the traditional banking system and also can appreciate in value. So overall, I don't think we have to convince anybody in this room, but this is definitely a market where we're still in the very early adoption phase, but soon going mainstream, which is a huge opportunity for companies like ArkFi and investors like us to get involved now and experience huge growth of user adoption if we have the right products positioned in the right place. Move on to the next one, Atlas, or do you want to mention anything else there?
No, I'm good. I'll be adding a little bit later.
All right. So the first tool in our utility roadmap is a fiat to crypto on-ramp. And this allows users to move funds from traditional banks into DeFi. And keeping in mind, this is all user controlled through a decentralized Web3 wallet. You can go on to the next one. And we think that the trends really are our friend in this case. We have the weakening trust in the traditional banks. Centralized crypto exchanges are spiking in usage. But we know that there's also trouble with the CEXs, with the centralized exchanges, and concern from investors whether or not they want to hold and use centralized exchanges, whether that's because of reporting issues or because of liquidity issues, whatever it might be. It's moving a lot of those users from centralized platforms to decentralized. And so we have this kind of perfect storm of inflation eroding value of fiat currencies around the world. We have bank insolvencies going on right now, and people are losing trust in traditional finance. And cryptocurrency and DeFi specifically is being viewed as a hedge against these central bank monetary policies. So we talk about this a lot, sort of this macro distrust in the centralized systems. It's now going mainstream. I think we see it in the headlines, and it's sort of embedding itself now into the collective. Whereas I think before, a lot of the early adopters, the people in this room, most likely were the ones that were sort of shouting from the rooftops, but falling on deaf ears. And I think now people are waking up to these ideas, and they're much more open to the discussion about hedging against this inflation, and also looking at alternate sources of investment, as well as currencies and ways to spend them, ways to use them.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to add a bit to that. And it's no secret for anyone here. We're seeing the fines, Wells notices that have been handed out, and they're, at least from the American standpoint, legislation, they're hot and heavy on the pursuit of the fiat on-ramps and off-ramps. We saw that happen with the Signature Bank. We're seeing other crypto-friendly banks just turn their back and run away. And we see an opportunity where a lot of folks here see a crisis. We see a void that's starting to create a gap. And as much as we love crypto, we need to really take into consideration that without having fiat on-ramps and off-ramps, our crypto is really worthless. If you can't put your money into crypto to get your gains, and you cannot take it out efficiently, then there really isn't a market. There really isn't volume. So we're positioning ourselves to fill that void, and to do it in a frictionless way, understanding that we need to be able to fill that void on board as well as off board. So many folks, you're seeing inflation happening 100% in Argentina, over 1 million% in Venezuela. February First, you had in Lebanon a 90% devaluation of their local currency. They're losing trust in their governments. They're losing trust in their banks. And this is not just something that's happening in third world countries. We're seeing, about a 10%, invisible tax happening to Americans, to Europeans with their fiat sitting in the bank, and them understanding that they need to be able to hedge. That's why the ROI DApp is such a fantastic product to do that. But we're only going to be able to be successful if we're able to onboard and offboard these folks in a way that is as frictionless as possible, and also take into consideration the KYC components that are associated with that we're going to touch on in a little bit. Go ahead, Mr. Brett.
That's great. Yeah, so what we've done for each product, we really looked at the marketplace and said, okay, what is the size of this prize? Is this something that we not only have an opportunity in, which I think we've shown with just the user adoption, market growth of cryptocurrency in general, but what are other companies doing in the space? And if we likened ourselves to those companies, and our goal is definitely to really become a professional sales and marketing company of these products, not just, oh, hey, we're going to put it on our website and our users, our investors can use these. We have a real plan to push these out into the mass market and look at other companies that have done this. And then what are the valuations of those companies? How successful are they being? Is that growth real? And can we see it in numbers? And so MoonPay is our first example of a crypto on-ramp company. And they recently were valuated at a $3.4 billion market cap. So there is a very sizable opportunity. Since they launched in 2019, they processed over 2 billion in transactions and hit 7 million users so far. So that was only in a very short period of time, 3-4 years. They've already achieved this kind of market valuation. So we can see that not only do we have a very hungry, growing market, but also a very profitable one. And one, of course, we're not going to get to 7 million users overnight, but as we build out this ecosystem and we cross-promote and we leverage our communities and as well as our other products to bring in new user adoption, a very nice piece of this large crypto on-ramping pie can be ours ultimately. So it's all about, can we build it, how we build it, and then how can we sell and market in an effective way to be in front of this large user adoption that's coming. So we're not necessarily needing to cannibalize what's already out there. There's plenty of business coming into the space. And so it's all about how we execute and how we take these products to market. So I just want to set up the idea of what this slide really encompasses. Is this is our vision, this is our goal. If we talk about an on-ramp, we're really talking about going after a marketplace that we can see MoonPay has addressed in a very great way. I've used MoonPay once, I believe. I didn't have the greatest experience.
It was horrible.
Yeah. But
tell the details of how intrusive and slow the whole process was. It's horrible.
It's very difficult. So our goal, if you want to jump to the next slide, that might be a good segue into our product and what differentiates it. So the idea here is that we would have a much more streamlined fiat on-ramp experience. You can use your favorite cryptos to make a payment or fiat currencies, and you have many different options around the world to choose from. So it's not just US dollars, it's not just Bitcoin or Ethereum or something, or a stable coin. You have a selection of many different cryptocurrencies and FX currencies as well. And there's no KYC for credit or debit card purchases up to $2,000. And we use the $2,000. Obviously, if you're in a region or doing something with a payment type that is high risk, then that $2,000 may be lower, that limit may be lower. But we know that up to 2,000, there is no KYC required. There is an email verification but you have the opportunity with that to remain anonymous. So that doesn't necessarily have to be an email that's attached to a Google account, for example, or an Apple Pay account. It can just be any old email that you set up. So it's more just to receive a verification code. So very light on the documentation side, if at all, and the email verification is very unobtrusive. So we're looking for, fast, simple payment processing and affordable, but as well as a no KYC, which fits our demographic. It fits our principles around being DeFi centric. So yeah, if you follow, MoonPay or some of the other larger on ramps, very intrusive. You have to do the full picture. What's it called, Atlas, where you have to take your selfie and rotate your head around, and it's terrible. They ask for your social security number. They ask for your address. Digital form of your IDs. It's crazy. Do you think you were buying a car or something like that? So our goal here, and I think up to $2,000 is a reasonable size investment. Obviously, this isn't a time frequency thing. You can make multiple purchases. So if you wanted to do $2,000 a day, so a very efficient way to on-ramp a reasonable and large amount of capital in a relatively short period of time.
Yeah, with that, I could say that everything here is fully licensed. We have up to 185 countries available in 48 of the 50 U.S. states, and also fully compliant and licensed and registered with FinCEN, the Department of Treasury. So great solution that we've been able to really plug in and bring to the table. That's going to make the whole process so much easier. As you all understand, when you're going to bring in a new investor, something we deal with every single day, Coach Brad Mistletoe can also, witness to the experience of having to take 2-3 hours to get someone through the process of signing up with crypto.com or Binance US, all the way from their fiat account to transfer or go through their whole KYC process to be able to purchase a crypto and then bring it into the Ark ecosystem. So with this, especially taking advantage of the mobile application, it's as simple as scanning the QR code in the mobile app and then going right to buy using the Ark Pay, take out their credit card. And we're talking a very fast couple of minutes process to be able to go directly into the vault or purchase BUSD, purchase Bitcoin, Ethereum, and hundreds of other cryptos as well.
That's great. Yeah. And for each of these utilities, we also offer the ability to make them available to other projects as well. So we'll get into that a little bit. If we have time, we can talk a little bit about the B2B opportunities, but there's also an expanding product opportunity or offering around this, right? This is more B2C, but there's also a B2B component that if we have a little bit of time, we can get into that a little bit. So the second part of the phase 2 is around crypto payments. So we know that people want to buy crypto, they want to earn crypto through our DeFi yield products, but now we want a secure and decentralized payment method. And in general, I would say virtual prepaid cards, physical cards, these debit cards, they're issued by Visa and MasterCard. They allow worldwide spending of crypto online and in stores. And so this is really taking crypto to the real world, and it gives you the ability to load your card with crypto and then link your card to Apple Pay, Google Pay, and other e-commerce platforms like Amazon. So I've been doing this just with virtual card and been able to connect to Amazon, spend it like real cash. So it's very simple, and it's a very easy way to offboard your crypto or spend it in the real world if you don't want to hodl it, or you don't want to reinvest it back into a yield fraud project like ArkFi. So there's tap to pay and contactless payments in store. So these cards work just like your bank debit card from Wells Fargo, Chase, whatever it might be. And they also allow cash withdrawals at ATMs. So this is a very large and growing market. So we can go to the next slide and we'll get into that. What's really driving?
Yeah. And I personally, my favorite product is the virtual card, because it's as simple as loading your BUSD onto the virtual card. If Visa, MasterCard are available, you can load it onto your phone, the Apple Pay Store, the Google Play Store, and you can go put gas in the car. You can go pay really anywhere Visa, MasterCard is accepted, or purchase online. So, I mean, I tried the first time I was testing it with the supplier that we have in place. I put the BUSD in, and within 12 minutes, I had food delivered to my home. It was that quick, that easy, no KYC, no bullshit. Here's the crypto, give me the card, I want to go and spend. So that's going to be just massively adopted. There's just no doubt about that. And the no KYC component is amazing.
Yeah, they're all anonymous too. Yeah, so that's we'll get into that a little bit. I think you skipped one slide there, just the market trends. Correct, right there. And so we have a growing interest in digital payments, making cryptocurrency an increasingly popular way to pay. So 80% of crypto consumers have used cryptocurrency to shop online or in store. And I think we're seeing that rate increase as merchants are now accepting crypto. To the B2B discussion that I talked about earlier, a lot of merchants are wanting to allow crypto payments. And 3.6 million people will pay with crypto in the US. And we're expecting a growth of 70% in 2023. 66% of US crypto holders have used cryptocurrency-based debit cards or gift cards in store. And by 2026, virtual card spending is expected to skyrocket to 6.8 trillion. So we're still early. and this is a huge opportunity. So yes, there's people in the space, and the next slide is a good example of a company that has grown significantly just recently. Transact, very well-respected company, grew its volume by 50% and doubled its user base just this last 12 months. So they got a 7x growth year over year and more than 420 million in total transactions. So just huge explosive growth. These markets are, like the early days of the internet. We're just seeing, a parabolic increases in user adoption and also transaction volume. So definitely a business. These are low margin businesses, I'll say, just from a business perspective, but the transaction volume is where you really make your money. You can go to the next one.
And this growth was in the bear market. You're growing that much. It's quite fantastic.
Yeah, and you can see, I mean, the examples that we're showing were in times when we went from, a $3 trillion, $3+ trillion crypto market now down to, about a third of that. So when we see that $10 trillion market cap or, $100 trillion market cap, you can imagine the transaction volume flowing through these rails and having a position, a well-developed product, trusted product, one that has a good brand and a good name, backed by great customer service. It's there for the taking. So, and this is the first product, the virtual prepaid debit card, and we'll be launching both a virtual prepaid debit card as well as a physical card. This is the first one. This is the one that Atlas mentioned. So it's a Visa or MasterCard. It's a U.S. issuer, anonymous, no KYC, AML required. So you don't have to go through those, awful steps of giving away all of your personal information and the long, setup process. And sometimes you get approved, sometimes you don't. There's a $5,000 balance limit, which is refillable, and a $2,500 single transaction limit. And we'll have 24-hour, 7-day online support for all of these products that you're seeing today. But this one is a definite godsend for people in DeFi looking for an anonymous way, no KYC, way to quickly spend money online or even in the real world through their Google Pay or Apple Pay devices. So tap to pay, all of those things can work through your phone, or you can hook this up to e-commerce and make online purchases immediately.
And again, bringing us back to the 1.4 billion adults who have mobile devices, but they're unbanked. So this fits right in. This is their way to offboard their crypto into fiat instantly, 10, 15 seconds, and you're in the game. You're ready to go spend.
Absolutely. Yep. And it's introducing them to a global market that they might not have had access to previously. So, and this is the physical debit card solution. I actually have 1,000 of these cards in my possession, and we'll be printing the logo on them and shipping them out to customers as soon as the front end piece is completed, which Alex is working on right now. But this is our physical debit card. It has worldwide shipping. So we'll be shipping it here from the US worldwide. It's an offshore bank issuance, so it's outside the EU and the US, giving you another layer of protection in terms of having a non-US or EU entity doing the KYC AML verification. So there is a verification process required, but it's with an offshore bank. A 20,000 balance limit for the EU US card, and then we have a $150,000 balance limit for a global card, and that's the one that we're initially shipping, up to $150,000 single transaction limit, and once again, 24-hour day, 7-day online support that we'll provide here through ArkFi. Did you want to add to that at all, Alice?
Yeah, we'd like to be very transparent, and this banking relationship is out of Panama. So we know the Ultimo product. We love the Ultimo product, and it has great benefits. We like the market they're in. We also like Panama, and our idea here is to bring in a product that's a lot more affordable. We understand that we're going to be dealing with folks really from all over the world, and a lot of them just don't have a lot of money. So we're going to try to make this as cheap as possible, because this is your gateway to the ATM. This is your gateway to be able to get the cash, physical cash, wherever you might be in the world, whatever currency you're dealing with, in your hands, as well as be able to go ahead and make those online purchases. So a very reliable solution. As we understand, there's a lot of pressure coming to the U.S. crypto-friendly banks, as well as Europe. Asia are having issues. Again, some people see a crisis. We see a fantastic opportunity to step in and really push this. I mean, we do this full time, folks. I think everyone's noticed that the team here at Ark is all in. This is what we do 7 days a week, no days off. And our plan is very, very clear. We are going out there to not just promote Ark, but be able to bring these products to other projects, merchants as well. We're going to talk a little bit about that as well. But there's a ton of opportunity that's just really sitting there waiting to be tapped. And we want to compete with all these companies, but we have to be, I believe, at a price range that makes it easy for anyone to come and join us and use these products.
Absolutely. I would just add that what we're seeing with the bank runs, potential bank runs, and also the insolvencies that are happening in the, not just globally, but also in the U.S. as well. People are looking to have alternate payment methods. Some people are hoarding cash, some people are stacking gold, whatever it might be. But I think also to have a liquid solution that's running outside of the jurisdiction that you're in makes a ton of sense. And yes, if we can make that more accessible and open to more people, I think that there's a large market to capture in that, and a very easy story to tell. I don't know anybody right now in the U.S. that's not thinking about whether or not their money's secure in their bank. I don't think anybody thinks it is. They're sort of either a question mark, or they know it's insecure and they're attempting to do something about it, whether that's move money into a different bank, open another bank account in a bank that they think is safer, or look to an option like this, where they can use our product to on-ramp some of their fiat to crypto, hold that crypto, and use it to spend if they need it. But if not, it's sitting in a offshore bank account. So very powerful story to tell, I think, with this solution, as well as the virtual card, as well as the on-ramp. It makes it a nice end-to-end solution, which is what we've been talking about. Make it simple, bring the fiat in, earn more crypto through our DeFi yield products, but then also be able to spend it in the real world, package it in a seamless, more connected way so that we can introduce these products to each other. Maybe we bring somebody in with the on-ramp and they go, what's this ArkFi? What's it all about? And they learn about the ROI DApp. They learn about the foundation of legacy NFTs. Now they also learn about the off-ramp solution. They want it all under one hood. They don't want to have 4 different providers for the same solution. So I think this is a really great story, easy one to tell, and I think we're going to do really well onboarding new users with these solutions.
Absolutely. And we understand that you could be your own bank when it comes to having the financial freedom of having a hardware wallet or multi-sig wallets in place and really tapping into your crypto for your daily expenses, for living your best life as needed. We always advise folks to not leave money in exchanges or in banks if they're able to. The best way we've been able to find to be in this business is to always keep our assets in crypto and use them as needed. So a great tool when you combine these two. Have the option of just using the virtual card. 15 seconds, you're ready to go. You can pay anything you want. You can tap and pay from your mobile devices anywhere in the world, or you can also go for the product that's the physical card that gives you that ATM ability.
Absolutely. So this is the next range of products, I'll call it, or next category of products that we're talking about is privacy. So we talked about the payments, and now we're moving into privacy. So I think with crypto, if you've been in this game at all, privacy is a huge concern from a security standpoint, but really the privacy is the ultimate security measure. And when we looked at how can we protect our investors and how can we make sure that they have the right tools in their hands from the start. So if we're out talking to new users in the mass market and we're bringing them in, a majority of them may have a VPN. They may have heard of it, but I would say that the market is pretty much evergreen. As we bring people into use their PWA, use their mobile device, set up their crypto wallet on a new laptop, they're going to want to purchase a VPN for that specific device, and they're going to want to do it in a very seamless way. And we know that we'll talk about the market trends a little bit, but we know that there's some concern with certain countries, I'll say, around VPNs. And so when we looked at a VPN product, we said this can't be centralized. We need to find a way to bring a decentralized solution. So that means bringing it through a decentralized network, not a centralized VPN, which is what 99% or more of VPN services. The one that you probably have on your computer, on your device right now is probably centralized. You may not think it is, maybe think it's a larger company that's in another, in Switzerland or somewhere like that, but it's all riding on the same data centers, the same servers as 10 other or potentially even more VPN companies that are just using those servers and putting a front end on it and pushing it out to the marketplace. So we said, hey, we need to find a way to not only protect our investors and customers, but also do it in a way that's DeFi. And so we have a DVPN solution that we're developing, and it creates a secure connection just like any other VPN, disguises your IP address when you interact with the internet. That could be also with dApps in the crypto, the Web3 world. But the idea is that no one can steal your money if they don't know who owns it. So this is going to protect and shield your identity, your IP address from potential hackers, government agencies, whatever it might be. So if you want a truly anonymous way and a way that can't be censored, like we've been seeing with some of these, what's the name of the U.S. bill that's being pushed through? I don't want to say it.
The Restrict Act.
The Restrict Act has been proposed. It hasn't come into law yet. but we know that there are other countries that don't allow the use of a VPN. So in a decentralized manner, it's still a way that people can access and use this level of privacy and protection without having those servers reside in a centralized authority that can block certain users from purchasing them. And I think also just having a way to purchase it using crypto is huge as well. So I don't know if you had any color to put to that, Atlas, but I know.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, if you dig deep, if you look at some articles and information that's been put out there, for example, by Edward Snowden, or you go even deeper and you look at some of the cases where these companies, NordVPN or Proton VPN, ExpressVPN, they say that they don't have no logs, right? They don't do logs. That is absolutely not true. And when they are served with papers coming with a gag order from a United States court, they are absolutely every single time, following suit, because they can get turned off from the data center, Cloudflare, and their business will just, go dark overnight. So they're in a position that because of their centralized systems, they don't have much of a choice. That's not to say that this is a product that we're trying to put out there for people to do illegal activities. It's more of understanding that if you truly want privacy, we're understanding what blockchain can do for us, but bringing those protocols and ideas into a decentralized system really helps, because not only can you be, for example, a customer, and maybe you want to pay with a credit card. When you do that with a centralized company, they have your information, right? Your credit card information, your IP, they have your name, they know exactly what you're doing. When you come into a system like this where you're coming in paying with crypto, we don't want to know the customer's private information. We don't want their name. We don't want their credit card information. We don't even want their IP address. And that's what the system does. It lets you come in with crypto. It also lets you come in with a credit card. But what we do when we take a credit card payment through the on-ramp, we convert that to crypto. And then that's how the account gets activated. And one of the great features here is if you just want to use the service, you're paying a monthly fee. However, you can become a node and share your bandwidth and earn crypto by being that gateway. And one thing I think a lot of folks kind of remember a bit, whether it's like LimeWire or Napster, some of these P2P file sharing allow you to be a seeder, right, or a leecher. So you're just downloading the file or you're serving the file. Well, here's sort of the same concept, where you could just be using the service paid, or you could offer that service as a node and earn. And that's how you create these decentralized systems, kind of like Bitcoin is decentralized because there's so many folks that are validating on the blockchain, the transactions. Well, here, instead of validating transactions, you're providing bandwidth. And in a way that your ISP, internet service provider, is not able to see through the encrypted tunnel who's going through or what they're doing. You're safe, they're safe, especially when you take into consideration with the Restrict Act. We hope that doesn't happen, but they're talking about putting people in jail for 20 years if they use a VPN, which is extreme, it's crazy, but this solution is an answer in the worst case scenario.
Absolutely. And on the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about the market trends. Like, what's pushing this rapid adoption? Why are these companies seeing such big growth? And the following slide will also be an example of a valuation that we'll probably recognize. But in really the digitalization of money and smartphone ubiquity. So everybody has a smartphone. A lot of people are doing mobile banking. A lot of people are surfing the internet, and they want an anonymous way to do that. I think you add in the financial products that companies like ArkFi and other DeFi solutions are providing and pushing out there, whether you're on a centralized exchange or not, you want this additional layer of security. Obviously, we can't trust the ISP service providers. We can't trust the mobile service providers, the telecoms. So we need another layer of protection. And this work from home concept that kind of blew up in 2019, 2020. That's continuing. So we have a lot of devices that are sort of out in the wild. They're not inside protected networks. And so that's really driving this personal acquisition of VPN products. And I think that trend's going to continue. So yeah, on the next slide, we have another valuation, multi-billion-dollar valuation. NordVPN, I think a lot of people know, very aggressive marketing, kind of came out of nowhere, to be honest. I mean, a lot of these companies are very new, very young, relatively young, maybe owned by a larger corporation or acquired to a conglomerate. But they did get a unicorn valuation that they raised their first money. It was $100 million at a $1.6 billion valuation. So obviously there's VC money flowing into this, and I think this opportunity is just going to keep growing. So I think for our users, it's a well-positioned product. It's a must-have. If they don't have it on their device already, that they're using the PWA, or even for interacting with crypto and Web 3.0 on their other devices, they're going to go ahead and purchase an ArkFi VPN. I just see it kind of as a no-brainer.
Absolutely. And if the Restrict Act does come into effect, I mean, this company is going to be, in quite a bit of trouble. With that, looking at the business models and the exit strategy for our investors, we can tell you that on September of 2021, ExpressVPN, which is another large competitor, they were purchased by a Israeli firm for $936 million, almost $1 billion. They had 3 million customers on board at that point. By now, they've got about another million customers. They're at 4 million customers right now. Another company that's completely centralized and reporting on everyone. They have to go through data centers and those endpoints. So that gives you an idea here of the valuations, and then an actual purchase of a company to another firm for almost $1 billion. So we see a real opportunity here, not just to create revenue for the legacy NFT holders, for the ILC, but also what the end game here, the end strategy would be possibly to sell the service to a bigger company that wants to tap into the decentralized part of business, as we believe it's going to shift, as privacy is going to become more and more important every single day.
Absolutely. And I think this trend towards decentralization is going to pick up steam. Still very early adopters. These networks are growing really fast. I'll just mention really quick, because we've got to get into this rest of this product, and we're getting into the second hour here. But we do also have our sites potential sites on a decentralized storage product as part of this privacy portfolio. So this privacy portfolio I think will grow, probably to match in size with what our crypto payments and on-ramp product offering will look like as far as the crypto banking side. So yeah, I think that this whole privacy and decentralized solutions, taking currently centralized applications and pushing them out to decentralized networks, is going to be a trend that we'll capitalize on.
Yeah, we've seen issues there too on hacks and having some of these storage spaces really be compromised. Credit card information, transactions from customers, as well as their private data, pictures, and we're seeing that happen too with a lot of the password managers over and over. They're not using the advantage of NFTs and blockchain zero knowledge that we have available today. So we want to be at the forefront of bringing zero knowledge into these products and bringing the decentralized component. Quite exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I have a background in product development for data storage, as well as managed services and data centers as well. So this is very comfortable space for me to operate in and see where there's opportunity. And I know that those businesses can be very, very high margin. This VPN product, unlike the payment side that we saw in the first part of the presentation, those are very lower margin, higher transaction based products. These are very high margin, subscription based model. So very, very valuable in terms of once you acquire the customer, they pay out a very large dividend over a large period of time. And adding additional products and use cases makes a lot of sense. And it's very simple to sell and much less costly to sell someone that you already have as a customer versus going out and trying to acquire one. So we think there's a lot of leverage that we can get here in this space. So this takes us into phase 3, unless you had anything else, Atlas, you wanted to mention on that?
No, that's it.
Okay, so that's phase 2. And that's really the beginnings of becoming your own bank in a private and decentralized way. So phase 3 is all about upgrading our infrastructure. So we've been monitoring this. We've been talking about it on the podcast. We think that there's certain levels of risk with the infrastructure that we have now. We've seen the stable coins coming under attack by regulators in the US. Anything really attached to US dollars is under question. Operation Choke Point 2.0 is what they're calling it. We see the sunsetting of BUSD after the Wells notice was issued by the SEC to Paxos. Whether or not that sticks or not, it's something that's out there that we know will be sunsetting, and we have a certain period of time. February 2024 is what they've announced. We haven't gotten any clear updates since then, whether that's from Binance or Paxos. So for us, it's still a risk. I guess that can be argued, but still a risk. And we're seeing, this idea of counterparty risk sort of flood through the marketplace. We've seen banks go under. We've seen FTX collapse. We just don't have a lot of transparency in terms of what Binance is investing in. So we know that the BNB coin was created around their exchange, but it's also been deflationary to drive the price up. And the assets that are being backed and purchased with those BNB, we don't have access to. We don't know what those investments are that Binance, the company, the exchange, is making with those proceeds. And we know that they control a large majority of the network for BSC, which is what we use for our blockchain. So we think that there's some enough risk in staying with Binance that, we've been monitoring this for a while, and we're looking to upgrade and move chains, which we'll talk about here in a second. We also know that the de-dollarization is out there now. It's mainstream. It's being talked about now. Whether this is a death by 1,000 cuts, we don't know. Could it be something that's just slow and the dollar stays forever and everyone's happy? Possibly. I think that the risk is high that there's going to be a lot of volatility. There's going to be a lot of concern over stable coins continuing. And I think that there's just systemic risk in having a stable coin attached to any type of fiat, not just the US dollar. So these are really some of the things that we're trying to mitigate with this infrastructure upgrade. So we can go into these more in detail now. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Atlas, to that?
Well, I mean, we don't want to stick around and find out what's going to happen on Binance. Maybe everything goes fine, but you know the saying, if you want to find out, then stick around. You're going to find out. And there's a responsibility that we have to our investors to be 10 steps ahead and to protect their investment here for the long term. This is not a 6-month project or a 1-year project. This is a multi-year project, as you can see, and we're developing real businesses that are all tying into the phase 1, which is the ROI tap. So it's I think irresponsible to not get ahead of it and understand the regulations. The writing's on the wall. We see what JP Morgan is doing, and BlackRock and a lot of these companies that are getting involved in crypto, what the narrative is, what's a security, what's not a security. We see that they're building, stable coins based on commodities. That's for a reason. That's where the smart money is. They're not trying to kill crypto. They're trying to control it. And, it's very hard to control DeFi. However, those choke points do have an effect. And we see that there's a whole narrative, especially with what's happened on Binance through time. we're seeing that our product is effective, not just for the great investors we have here from the traditional, let's say, DeFi space, what we call the degens, right? The Jeets. We're understanding that our crowd here, the ROI DApp, is a opportunity to hedge against inflation by the average Joe and Jane, the Uber driver, the farmer, the nurse, the single mother, the folks that are living paycheck to paycheck, which is about over 45% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, taking payday loans. So we understand we have a fantastic product, and it serves them. People in the third world, it serves them. The unbanked, it serves them. But we need to be in a place where they go into due diligence. Like I think 2 nights ago, we had one investor who got her son into the ROI DApp. He wants to purchase a car. He's 16 years old. He fell in love with Ark. He's going to the school, and we just heard like 2 days ago, he signed up during his lunch break, a fellow student and also a teacher at the school. So you think, hey, wait, the teacher comes, hey, this kid's here into school. He's talking about this ArkFi thing. It sounds too good to be true. They look at Binance and they see all of the turds that are floating around, all of the scams, all of the bad things. I mean, let's continue. We're going to touch a little bit more on that, but we want to be in a place where people can feel secure and there's things happening. We're going to show that to you right now.
Yeah, and I think you touched on the long-term sustainability. That's really what we have in mind here. And with that, we're putting 3 different pieces, components, and upgrades in place. The first being we're going to replace the stablecoin BUSD with an on-chain gold token. And that obviously has some intricacies and things and reasons for the migration as well, which we can get into. But expanding the on and off ramp offerings from phase 2. So we're taking the initial payment systems that you saw on the on-ramping, and we're expanding that to include a DEX. And we also need an automated market maker, as well as we can expand out very quickly and easily to crypto banking service. So this is really an IBAN type checking account. And Atlas, you're probably better to talk about that in a minute. But then also the blockchain upgrade. And just to let the cat out of the bag, we're looking to move to Polygon. So I think you can probably hop to the next slide, which will touch a little bit about each one of these. The on-chain gold token, we can launch multi-chain. So this is a concept coming from the idea of hedging against any kind of volatility or risk to fiat cryptocurrencies. Also the choke point 2.0, war on stablecoins that we're seeing now, and just sort of general uncertainty behind what's going to be a fiat that we would want to attach our protocol to and use as liquidity. And when we looked at all those risks and we look at the market trends, which I think is on the next slide, we really wanted to put a commodity-backed token, and gold being that commodity-backed, which we think, based on a lot of the market trends that we'll cover in the next slide, give it not only an opportunity for stability in this marketplace, but also it's been just a hedge for centuries against fiat currencies and out of control central banks. So the idea is that our ArkFi tokens can be sold for ArkG, which is our Ark Gold token, just like your BUSD today. If you're receiving rewards through the foundation, which you are through the legacy NFT, those will be paid out in the gold token. And then the ArkG token would be liquid, so you could take it to several crypto exchanges and be able to exchange it and swap it for other currencies. If stable coins are still available, and that's what we use to off-ramp, that's fine. If you're using our off-ramp, we'd be able to facilitate loading your card and being able to make payments using our systems as well. So once we have this technology platform in place that we're using to create the Ark Gold token, that will allow real-world assets to be tokenized on-chain. So silver, diamonds, Rolex watches, whatever it might be. This is a huge trend and a huge marketplace trend, and is a big opportunity for anyone getting in front of this technology now. It's going to be the way that a lot of cryptos are created and a lot of businesses are created around NFTs. So I think we want to be on the forefront of this. This is a trend that's not going away. It's what the banks are going to do ultimately with tokenizing everything. So we've talked about real estate, stocks, whatever it might be. Everything's coming on chain. So for us to have a capability and a knowledge base and a business built around this, because we can earn premiums when those gold tokens are created or brought on chain, just like when you pay for a premium from a gold dealer today, there's a small margin or a fee that's paid back to the issuer. And so that issuer would be us.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And we have the great opportunity to bring this asset cross chain. So we could have it on BSC, we could have it on Polygon, we could have it on Ethereum. Our partners have already been able to do that on Polygon using Chainlink, which is pretty fascinating because they're able to take the off-chain asset and then through Chainlink bring that forward to the on-chain asset, the tokens, the minting, the supply, and the partners that we have. They have over $1 billion worth of gold over in Singapore. We also have another relationship in Singapore, and you can literally go to the vaults and you can verify and see with your own eyes the gold that's being used to back the token. Everything is so transparent, and not only transparent, but most importantly for the long term, this is the legal part of where JP Morgan and a lot of these companies are doing. They're not advertising this. They're not looking for your investment. They're not asking you to come into a whitelist or, come into a pre-sale. I mean, these are huge corporations. The writing's on the wall. They would not be doing this if they didn't understand that commodity-based tokens are not a security because they are a commodity and they're easily tradable. So we're moving that direction. And with that, not only could you sell the ArkFi token and use whichever stable coin is legal at that point, or maybe convert it to BTC if they just get rid of fiat stable coins completely, or you could take your gold and segregate it in the vault under your name, under your account. So you have the physical asset there in a safe place where you're not worried if the government's going to come knock on your door and say, hey, dig up the gold or, open up your vaults here in the United States or Europe and, hand it over to us as we're having a financial crisis. And if you do a little bit of research, you'll find very easily that governments have done that in America, in Europe, and in Asia. They've confiscated your gold. So we're going to these places where they are not subject to following suit into a court order for you to hand over your segregated account.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think there's a couple, 2 slides ahead. If you want to jump to the next slide, I think we've covered most of that. Just in the interest of time, I'll kind of skim through this. But the concept of doing on-chain gold is that you can have high values or large values of gold in a highly transportable way. Now, the other traditional way is through ETFs, which ETFs can be confiscated very easily by governments. So let's say that you own an ETF and you're part of a financial institution in the United States or Europe or wherever it might be, that government decides that they need to be able to pay their debts from their hyperinflating currency. They will seize those ETFs. Very easy to do, very controlled, quick manner. Within 24 hours, those ETFs will be gone. So this is a way to represent physical stores of gold in an on-chain way. So highly transportable, very liquid through our system. And then also a way that you can hold gold in a fractionalized manner. So this is a way that the average person with a very small investment can own less than 1 gram of gold on chain. So back to kind of what we did with the ROI DApp, where we created a very responsible environment for investors to come. And I think that's a big attraction to ArkFi, especially in this environment where there's been so much gambling going on. This is a way that I really see changing the mindset of our investor base to thinking about that long-term store of value. And then during these, liquidity crises, bank crises, giving them a responsible way to save and do it in a way that is decentralized and is on foreign soil. So we don't have to worry about kind of those local events that might happen. So yeah, why don't we move on to the next one? Because I think that's the market Yeah, the market trends. And we've talked a lot about this, but I'll just skim through this as well. The BIS reclassified gold as good as cash. So basically it's a tier 1 zero risk asset. And these trends, if you add up all these trends that we're going to go through here, what you're going to see is that gold moving into this market space is probably a one-way bet, if not one of the most stable, low-risk assets to hold during this time of crisis. So we have central banks worldwide. They bought more gold in the third quarter of 2022 than in any quarter in 55 years. So the central banks are stocking up. We know that can mean probably one of two things. One, they're putting in a safety net, or two, we're moving into a new commodity-backed financial system. The Russian banks are issuing gold-backed digital financial assets, so DFAs. They've been doing this publicly, and we know that the BRICS nations are going to attempt to back their currencies with commodities like gold. And then we see the de-dollarization beginning. We think that eventually it will lose its global reserve currency status, but not go away necessarily, but it could become a basket of other currencies that are then recognized because they are backed by commodities and are freely trading cross-border as one of, we don't know how many currencies, might be 6, might be 10, might be 30, 50, but there will be probably rules in place for that international trade and trading with those currencies that are backed by these commodities. So I think the trend is our friend in this case, and backing our liquidity with something like gold is a very strategic and smart move at this point in time. And on the next slide, we know Paxos from our BUSD. They're our BUSD friends, but they got their roots really started with tokenizing gold. And they received a $300 million Series D funding with a $2.4 billion valuation. And they have tokenized more than 100,000 ounces of gold on chain. And the PaxG token is readily exchanged on many different centralized exchanges. But once again, Paxos is in United States. It's in New York, headquartered out of there. They do have vaulting in New York as well. So I think I haven't bought any PaxG personally, just because of what I think might be the risk of a domino falling there after the SEC investigation. But a good example of how a very, very large business can be built around this tokenization of assets concept. Yeah, and so this is some of the details about the ArkG on-chain gold token. A minimum investment of less than 1 gram, 100% backed by physical gold, publicly traceable. And so these are immutable contracts. You can see all the transactions happen through an Explorer front end. There's an immutable public audit trail for all of the gold vaulting transactions. And as that was mentioned, you can redeem that for US dollars or physical gold shipped to your home. And the other option would be that if you have enough of it, you can create your own vault account in the Bullion vault, and have that segregated and separated from the ArkFi vault, and create your own vault. So those are the different options, and yeah, that's the ArkG token. So then this is the expansion. Some of it's going to be absolutely necessary for the ArkG token. So having a DEX and an automated market maker to be able to cash out your ArkG. But then we also see this as an opportunity to offer more cryptocurrencies, offer a DEX solution, but then also expand into crypto banking. So ArkFi will upgrade the crypto purchasing and payments offering that we talked about in the phase 2 to include the crypto exchange, and also evolve that into a full service crypto bank. I think you probably jump to the next slide just so we have a little bit extra time, Atlas. So this is capitalizing on the market trends of DeFi, the Internet of Value, leading the next bull run. We think that's going to happen around the Bitcoin halving timeframe, late 2024 into 2025, as we see this rollout of CBDCs. But DeFi, we think, will lead that charge. And consumers are going to be wanting a convenient way to buy, sell, trade all types of currencies, equities, commodities, and combine that with traditional banking services. So that's what we've talked about, having a way to replace your Wells Fargo, your BBVA, your Bank of America, whatever it might be, and do everything within Web.3 and within the ArkFi crypto banking services. And Revolut is a fintech, if you want to call ArkFi a fintech as well. It's a digital banking app. So that's where we're evolving our app into a much larger umbrella of products and services. They saw a 3x year over year increase in user adoption and transaction volume, and they're currently valued at $33 billion. So that was in a very, very short period of time. They almost hit 767 million in revenue in 2021. I can imagine 2022 is probably very similar, but this is a very European centric, so not global, is addressing that same concept. Move away from your traditional bank and move it into this fintech world where you have multiple opportunities to invest, to save, to generate yield, and then also to spend. So
I remember when I moved to Europe about 6 years ago, they were pretty much launching, and they were getting 15,000 new customers per day with zero advertising.
Wow.
Millennials are tired of their dinosaur banks, and it's ridiculous that you have to have your traditional bank and then open up a crypto.com or Binance or Kraken, Gemini account, then transfer over your crypto, right? I'm sorry, transfer over your fiat from your traditional bank to the exchange so that you can get your crypto. And if you want to get high yield, you want to go into Curve, or you want to go into Lido or any of these platforms that are offering you higher yield that you'll be able to get in your traditional fiat bank, then you have to create another application, and you have to go through another KYC, and everything's spread out. Here at Ark, we could have the foundation, which is your high yield savings. You can have your more extreme, massive yield product, which is the ROI DApp, and you are able to have your IBAN, your account. You could literally chop up your card, take a picture of it, put it on Twitter to qualify to win $30,000, and you're going to see a flurry here of millennials that are going to run through the door. We've seen it happen in Europe, and in America still needs to explode. Latin America, we've also had the relationships over there in the banking, and be able to offer, the Web 3.0 global bank solution to all the customers. So these are fantastic products that we know work, and we can take them to the next level.
Yes, sir. Yeah, on the next slide, we go through those different services, bank accounts, debit cards, which we've covered, crypto exchange, that's the DEX, currency exchange, stocks and commodity trading. So these are all plug and play type of backend solutions that we could tap into, as well as bill pay, peer-to-peer payments, and obviously ATM withdrawals. So this is replacing your traditional bank now with a fintech solution or a crypto banking solution. So yeah, very, very large opportunity. And I think as we bring customers from our DeFi communities, these are going to be very easy transitions for them to make, but then also very attractive to people in the real world. As you mentioned, all of these different markets that have an opportunity that don't have bank accounts like this. So yeah, very, very big.
And with that also, we're not going to touch on it much today, but we have also products that are for merchants, where merchants could, with our ArkPay technology, accept crypto payments or accept wire transfers with a QR code, and you could process funds globally without having to go through Stripe or any of these again separate systems that you have to get another application from the App Store or the Play Store, and then go through another KYC. So now you could be a merchant and you could accept. And there's a lot of great advantages. Generally, if you have a business and you're accepting credit card transactions, You always have to wait 3-4 days for Stripe to go ahead and credit your account. And then you're always subject to the concern that they could do a chargeback. You ship them out the goods. They say, hey, somebody stole my credit card. That wasn't me. Bullshit. They've already received and taken your product, your goods. And now the bank is going to come and pull it out of the account. When you're dealing with crypto payments, there are no chargebacks. So that is a huge advantage. You can imagine airlines using this product where, they don't have to wait the 3-4 days because we will give them instant settlement through ACH, and they don't have to worry about the counterparty risk that customer, that passenger was actually a scammer using stolen credit card information brought from the dark web.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just being a small business owner in the United States, if you're using QuickBooks, which it's pretty much everywhere, if you're taking ACH payments, you know how much that is. It's over $100 for, a payment of $2,000 or $3,000. It's insane. So, and then obviously you don't get that money right away. You have to wait. It clears. So to overcome that problem, now they have these kind of like, they'll give you almost like a loan on your payables, so you can get paid immediately, but they're going to charge you for that. So it's insane. But there's a huge opportunity in the B2B space, and we know about the marijuana industry. Marijuana is a huge opportunity as well. They just have a hard time getting qualified by payment systems. So there's just a lot of opportunity in that space for very, very sizable, steady transactions that can generate a lot of fees for the platform. So why don't we jump ahead? So we got about, I guess we could get into our podcast a little bit, but we're slowly running out of time here. So the next slide is going into the blockchain migration. So we talked about Polygon. This is to mitigate the risks of the centralization of BSC and sunsetting of BUSD. And just a couple of the quick highlights on Polygon: more decentralized, higher performance, the transaction throughput rate, as well as the lower gas fees. And I know that's sort of out there now that Polygon is significantly cheaper. And we see the BNBs typically can increase to a point where sometimes in the ROI DApp spaces even, it almost doesn't even make sense to do a transaction depending on how much you're earning. So definitely a concern. And as we move into these markets that might be smaller investors, they're going to be more gas fee conscious. We already see that in our community as well, and we're always trying to improve that. And then we talked about the Chainlink proof of reserve technology, and that's really the tokenization of assets on the Polygon blockchain. And that's an integral part of our technology stack needed for ArkG, and then also for future assets that we bring online. And then the availability of Polygon ZK EVM, that's the zero knowledge. So that's the cryptographic zero knowledge proofs, which we know from a privacy standpoint is essential, and a technology that we've been watching and monitoring. If you've been on with Z's DeFi sessions in the podcast, you'll know we talk a lot about ZK. And I don't know if you had anything to add there, Atlas. I think the next slide goes into some of the positioning of Ark. And one of the other main reasons why we're doing this, obviously we started on Binance Smart Chain, a lot of great investors here, but also that comes with some legacy projects that, are not always friendly. There's some toxic environments and other things. But if we look at what's being built on Polygon and where the market is heading for 2024, 2025, where are the eyeballs going to be? Where are the users going? They're not going to BSC. I'll just say that. We look at the players that are building real projects, real corporations, real volume that's going to be driving millions of users to layer 2 solutions like Polygon. You could probably argue that there's others, but Polygon being one of the most established and also one with some of the best metrics in terms of throughput and gas fees. We just have a slew of giant corporations bringing NFTs, metaverse, these kind of these millennial positioned products to Polygon, which when we look at from a mass market standpoint fits our investor profile, fits our customer profile for all the utilities and the other components to ArkFi that we've talked about today. So, Atlas, did you want to add something to that?
Yeah, absolutely. For those of you that don't know, in the past month, there's been more volume of transactions on Polygon than on Binance Smart Chain. Not only that, but when you understand, here's a couple samples of companies, but you have Bentley Motors, you've got Instagram, BitPay, Twitter, MasterCard, Robinhood, Bulgari, Mercedes-Benz, Opera, Coinbase. All of these companies are building, even eBay is building on Polygon. Who's building on Binance Smart Chain? Pepe? Wojak? I mean,
I have no
guys,
idea.
come on. As we go into the global market and we're talking with teachers, mothers, folks that look at the ROI and say, hey, is this shit a scam? And they go and look Binance Smart Chain and they look at, again, all the turds floating around in the cesspool of JEETs and DGens and so many scams over and over. We're hurting ourselves. And then understanding when they go deeper and they say there's a Wells notice, that's happening, and they're attacking BUSD, they're attacking CZ. Why would we want to do all of this work and do a multi-year thing when you're hanging by a thread? And there's so much bad reputation. We want to be on the side where these amazing companies are building. We want to be on the side where there's zero knowledge. This is the future that's going to protect our crypto from quantum computers and AIs. That's a whole nother conversation we'll have another day, but we have to think far ahead and we have to be positioned on the right side. And until we launch our layer one coming up in 2024, we want to be where the action is, where the volume is, where the security. And one of the other great parts about Polygon, we're talking transactions here that are a fraction of a cent. Let me repeat that, a fraction of a cent. And add to that zero knowledge and all these great companies. As Coach Brad likes to say, it's a no-brainer, folks. When investors all over the world, hey, what is this Polygon thing? Holy shit. Oh, wow. Adobe, Starbucks, Disney. Oh, this is vanilla. Let's go and invest. And if you're an investor, you can understand that. You're here to make money. You're here to take care of your family. If you want to be cool with your Jeet friends, go ahead. You can still get into shit projects into BSC, hopefully forever. But Ark is going to the next level, and we'd love for you guys to be a part of that.
Great points. Okay, and the next slide wraps up our phase 4 now. So we've had phase 2, which was the early start of the crypto banking. The phase 3 was our infrastructure upgrades. And now phase 4, this pushes us into 2024. And really the high level points here on the layer 1 that we can talk about today. This is something that Atlas has had several years invested in, his time and energy in developing and thinking through. So he's the best person to talk about this, but basically it's an ESG compliant, fully decentralized network running on entirely renewable energy sources, utilizing ZK, which we just mentioned, the zero knowledge technology. And so green, ESG compliant, and fully decentralized with the latest and greatest privacy and security methods being applied to the layer 1. So, and there will be a layer 1 token, which we'll be talking about more in the future, but that one will be backed by commodities. So again, back to this Stripe, or sorry, not Stripe. Shoot's escaping me now. The proof of ownership from Chainlink, Chainlink technology being applied again to be able to bring those commodity and real assets onto this new layer 1. So did you want to add something to that, Atlas?
No, I'd like to keep all that. It's been 3 years of work, and we're not going to talk too much about it. We're talking about what we have in hand already with the products that are bringing the revenue in that we're going to offer to other projects. This is money coming in right away. the token, the migration, that's all the great work that's going to be really happening here throughout the coming months. So, you know, it's something that's going to be, I can assure you, quite exciting and very interesting.
Absolutely. And so the timeline, this is probably what a lot of people are waiting for, you know, when phase 2, when phase 3. So phase 2, very imminent. We are very far along with real world contracts have been signed. Alex and Crypto King and the team has been working on the front ends already for these solutions. I would say that we are furthest along with the crypto payment side, but Q2 2023, we're going to roll these out. So before the end of May, before the end of June, the 6th month, we will have all of these in place. And the DVPN is probably the least far along in terms of just development time, but the fiat on-ramp and crypto payments are happening very quickly. The fourth component, the strategic investment, and I just want to kind of frame this up. We've talked about making external investments before. We are still going to do that. If we invest into a DeFi yield project, for example, when we call it a strategic investment, it's more of a partnership. And the way we're positioning that is we will make an investment into another project or another investment as long as there's a way to leverage our utilities with that project. So basically those projects would be utilizing our on-ramps or off-ramps, our DVPN, or cross-promoting those products to a much larger community. So we want to make sure that those investments not only generate a yield, and if they didn't generate a yield, they were at least a great marketing investment to be able to expand our offering, our user base, and bring those investors back to our ecosystem for ArkFi. So that's really what a strategic investment is. It's not a, here's the money, we're hoping we get something back in return. It's more than that. It's going to be an investment made into a group organization or another DeFi yield investment that is going to bring more eyeballs, more users, and revenue back to ArkFi. And then the phase 3, that's going to happen in Q3. Some of the components may be further out in Q3, but I will say that in order to do the Polygon migration and the ArkG and the automated market maker and the DEX, we're going to have to be on Polygon because the Chainlink technology for the ArkG is on Polygon. And when we move our liquidity, we'll have to have all of that in place in order to make that migration happen. And then the crypto banking expansion products that we talked about, those also in Q3. And you see kind of a gap there in Q4. Those might be some of the other privacy utilities that we've talked about and things, but we're not ready to fill or commit to those yet. So these are things that are very imminent that we've done a lot of research, a lot of homework on. We either have partners in place now or we have a pathway to acquiring those technologies or partnering into those technologies to accelerate and be able to achieve the phase 2 and the phase 3 goals with a high likelihood of success. So Alice, did you want to mention anything else on that?
No, I just want to just let everyone know the fiat on-ramps are already active. They've been active for quite some time. We have the relationships with the banks. We've signed contracts. They're in place. We're going to be adding liquidity to support that. So, you know, very, very far out. We're at a point here where we're just integrating the front end, and ideally, the soonest we can integrate that into the mobile application, we're going to start to see things really, really pump here for the ROI DApp as well as those external revenues coming in.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, what we can do now, we probably have a dozen or so slides left. So let's try to keep these to a minute each, and I'll just kind of go through them. I think this will be very familiar to everybody, so we can go a little bit more quickly. But this is how we're going to go to market. And so the next slide, we talk about referral marketing. So all of these solutions are going to offer an affiliate program. So whether you refer them out to a friend, we're building out that affiliate commission structure now. And so in the back end, we're going to be able to track and trace who sells what to who. So very similar to the ROI DApp in terms of referral commissions, but these are going to be straight affiliate commissions. So it'll be a level 1 referral in most cases. If we did a larger B2B type transaction, there might be 2 layers, but we'll need to talk about that. So referral marketing is going to be still our primary way, but then we're going to get into these promotional activities on the next slide. These are project partnerships. We talked about the strategic investments, getting very large communities by making an investment into another project and then bringing over those investors to utilize our on-ramp, off-ramps, DVPN, and then other products as we go down the list. AMA tour, this is what Atlas and I did for a living for the first month of ArkFi. We just crushed the AMA circuit, bringing all of those BSC investors and other very large communities over to the ArkFi. But now we have a much different story to tell. We're a more mature protocol. We have revenue coming in. And then we'll talk a little bit about the legacy NFT kind of leading that discussion as we go back out onto the AMA tour. And then channel advertising. We obviously have a way of doing article placements, press releases, search marketing ads, social media syndication. This is going to be turned up a notch. And a large majority of what we're intending to use the Legacy NFT Investment Fund for is these promotional activities, these marketing activities that we know in order to be able to go out and compete with the likes of a NordVPN, for example, or a Transact for payments. We need to have professional marketing. We need to have an engine there that can really push. Not only just through our little channels that we're addressing initially to get the businesses ramped up, but then also to take them to the next level. So this is taking the sales and marketing experience that we have as a team and applying it to these real world businesses. And then obviously influencer recruitment, that's a big thing now. Getting a spot on different YouTube channels, on different TikToks and things like that for influencers that are going to mention the VPN or mention the payment systems, mention how they're getting their fiat into crypto. So really pushing these current affiliate channels where they might be marketing or advertising something else, inserting ArkFi into that conversation. And then this is the next slide talks about the specific revenue generation for each product. So the fiat on-ramp, we obviously have transaction fees. The payment off-ramps, we have card creation loading fees. So when we want to load crypto onto the card, our VPN is a subscription-based model. The ArkG off-ramps, that's tokenization premiums. We talked about the premium on tokenizing assets, whether that's gold or otherwise. Our exchange and AMM, those are exchange fees that very common to what you're seeing on a DEX or a centralized exchange now. Crypto banking, you have account fees as well as transaction fees. And then our strategic investments, those are the crypto yield, and then also bringing customers back to the project. So this is a quick high-level concept for how we plan on splitting out these revenue allocations. We know that, and on the left-hand side is really a calculation. I'm not going to get into that in interest of time. But basically, the net profit that we generate from all of these fees that we had on the previous slide, which is basically the gross profit minus any kind of affiliate commission that we pay out. So what is that cream off the top? How is that going to get split out? And at this moment in time, we've selected a very even split between the Legacy NFT rewards pool, the Ark ILC, and then the Treasury. And the Treasury has really been funding all of this activity up till now. It's what's been paying any kind of subcontract development fees. It pays for all of the operational costs, the staffing. It's going to pay for all of the servers on the back end for the DVPN, all of those service fees and everything. Once that's paid for and completed, there's a profit on top of that. So that these different components where that revenue is flowing is going to serve different purposes, not just paying back investors, but also keeping the lights on, keeping it fully staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and providing that customer service experience that we really have grown to love here at ArkFi, as well as all of the quality content and marketing stuff that we generate. Do you have anything to add to that one, Atlas?
No, that's a great explanation, brother. Fantastic.
We're moving fast. So the next slide. So this is our new portfolio overview. So this is what's really feeding the NFT rewards pool. We have the ROI DApp that we're all familiar with, those fees that are generated on that platform. And that's really all that's been feeding that NFT rewards pool. So we can imagine as we add these additional components, the fiat on-ramp, the crypto payments, the DVPN, the Ark Gold token, those premiums flowing in, the crypto banking, and then the strategic investments, those DeFi yield investments that we make, all flowing back into that rewards pool. So if we think we have a great investment now in the NFT, the legacy NFT, I think we can see that as this gets fleshed out and grows, it's only going to get stronger and stronger. And this next slide talks about the investment fund allocation. I wish we had a little bit more time, but maybe we can drift a little bit into the podcast.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
They're definitely patient and know that we'll be there. We're in no rush.
Okay, very good. So this is our best guess at what we think the split would look like, and this might vary from business to business. But in terms of what we want to use the investment fund, when we're talking about that's the legacy NFT investment fund, how we want to allocate and use that. On the right-hand side, 50% to marketing. We think that's a solid number. And that's also going to be the professional marketing and the sales channel development and everything that we discussed. When we take all of those different utilities and we start to push them out into the mass market, we're going to have a component that's required for development. We've been funding that primarily out of the treasury, which won't end, but we also want to take and accelerate some of these projects to make sure that we're hitting timelines. We have adequate staffing, we have adequate resources to be able to accomplish the timeline that we've set out. The AMM is the automated market maker. We're going to need liquidity to be able to pair with that ArkG token to make sure that we can have seamless exchange back and forth from other cryptos, whether that's a stable coin or Bitcoin, as Atlas mentioned, taking that ArkG token and making sure that it's liquid and that we have a market maker in place that's willing to acquire that ArkG token from people who want to sell it. And then the other 15% is the strategic investments that we talked about, going out to these other projects that we know are stable and providing a reasonable return on investment, but also have large communities that can adopt our utilities. So we get a 1-2 punch there from that investment that's made. Let's see what else. Once we have this is really being funded through the legacy NFTs. So we have a total minting cost of $6 million. So that's what we're attempting to raise in total. We know 20% of that goes to the NFT rewards pool. It gets paid out slowly over time to the NFT holders. But 80% of that, which is 4.8 million, would then go into that pie chart there and be divided up and used. And as I mentioned, we're going to want a little flexibility in how these funds are utilized, just because we know that plans are plans, but they can change. And if we have opportunities that arise, we're going to want to capitalize on those. So we might shift this allocation a little bit. I think this is a pretty good high-level estimate of where those funds would be going and flowing through the businesses. Did you have anything you wanted to add there, Atlas?
Well, I believe that legacy NFTs are clearly, absolute winners. Not a lot of projects can go out there into the market and go do AMAs and go and attract investors. A lot of them come out and they have a promise of what's to come. These NFTs are paying out every single day.
Absolutely.
The investors that have already come in. So I haven't seen a project be able to do that, to go out and get more investors and saying, hey, this is already paying these yields. You're getting, 20% of anybody else that's coming in after, and especially for our founding investors. This is absolutely amazing, because the new investors that are going to come and purchase these see the value, they see these products, but they're coming in at a point that's going to benefit everyone else, but they're going to benefit too. So it's like buying an annuity, right? You're getting these payouts on a daily basis already. It's not a promise. It's not a parabolic this, or sit there and pray and light candles and hope that this will give you money one day. This is giving money today, every single day, and it's just going to continue to grow.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you want to flash to the next slide, I can kind of continue that conversation, because you and I have talked about this. If you go into a crowdfunding platform, and let's say that you see your eye on a company, whatever it might be, typically they're in the fundraising standpoint. They don't even have a product yet. They don't have anything being generated from a revenue standpoint. Very high risk. Also, sometimes they don't take you if you're not an accredited investor. If you're unaccredited, that's fine, but you still need to go through some level of, KYC process, other things. And then you're getting into something and you're just waiting. So you have capital that's locked up. You're missing opportunities potentially in other projects or other things. But that just might be for an investment that's made into a phase one of a project or a product without any promise of return. With this, there's no promise of return, but you're seeing the numbers already there. We already have an ROI DApp that's generating revenue back to the legacy NFT holders. So in terms of even a typical crowdfunding kind of model, the legacy NFT is just, I mean, it's a no-brainer, but it's also just an amazing opportunity from an investment standpoint that's being attached to real-world utility. Whether you look at this as a SaaS product model, a traditional technology software type play, which is what these products are really addressing, fintech, more related products. There's no like poke and hope here. This is money that goes in and you're getting rewards generated within 24 hours. So just an unbelievable opportunity. And that's the new story that we're telling. We're reintroducing the legacy NFT in a way as a DeFi utility NFT. And I know that there's other projects that are, launching around that with, they have a little bit of this future utility in mind, where they're using trading bots or other things like that. But these are things that are very scalable. They're very real world businesses. And as we've shown from the other examples, these are huge growing markets with big companies doing big things with very, very high valuations. So getting into a legacy NFT right now with a total of a $6 million raise, $4.8 million going and allocating into these various businesses, that's a very conservative capped number of investors that can get into these phase 2, phase 3 products with a current revenue stream that's already paid out about 35% of their initial investment. If you got into the legacy NFT out of the gates at the launch period, already been paid back more than a third of their initial investment. So these things just have a ton of utility, not only in ArkFi in the ecosystem, but in terms of a real world investment, I don't see or can think of anything that's touching not only the returns, but then the future opportunity that the legacy NFT could hold for future investors. So I'm really excited about them. And just having a background in funding and venture capital and things like that, this kind of DeFi type utility NFT is really, I think, the future of the way these type of projects are going to launch. From a funding standpoint, from a investor standpoint, there's just so many benefits to it. So we're going to be talking about the legacy NFT, and really these slides at the end of this presentation are a lot of what Alice and I are going to take on the road when we do our AMA tour and we attempt to sell the $6 million worth of NFTs. This is how we're positioning it. This is a DeFi utility NFT. Here's all of the different utilities that are connected into the now legacy NFT. We have strategic investments. So these are DeFi yield opportunities, crypto banking, the ArkFi token, the DVPN, the crypto payments, the fiat on-ramp, the ROI DApp fees. And as you can see, this curve can continue to go around as we have new opportunities come in. We have resources and we have the opportunity to plug in additional privacy products, additional B2B payment systems. These are going to become additional resource streams that feed those legacy NFTs. And these are capped. So if we look at the ArkFi token, which is the ROI DApp token, that's obviously not capped. So that supply can increase. That's a more high risk, high reward game, but it is now backed by these utilities as the revenues flow back into the ILC. But that will be, it's going to be more volatile. It's going to be a ROI DApp at heart. It's going to be based on supply and demand. The price of the ArkFi token will fluctuate over time, but be supported by these utilities. So I think the story is just going to get better and better. And now we have the credibility. We have the success that we've had up to date with the current ecosystem, but now a whole suite of utilities to reintroduce the legacy NFT under with a very clear path and progress that's already being made to generating those utility revenues and flow back to those legacy NFT holders. So, yep, if you want to jump to the next slide or if you want to add anything to that, I think the story is...
Well, it's not hype. It's facts. And the facts are clear. So far today, the legacy NFTs have paid out 36.5 return on investment and paying out every day. Tell me who else can say that? Who has a product like that that's already proven the success? This team has proven quite a lot. It still has a lot more to prove. But we've shown the quality of the work. We've shown that we can communicate, engage, and attract and retain investors here. And there's something different about the way that this team executes, this community that we put together, and the results really speak for themselves. It's an easy sell, in my opinion. And there's so much, opportunity here for the taking that you don't have to sit there and wait. It's happening every single day.
Yep.
It's amazing.
And we've seen millions of dollars flow into projects that got rugged that had the same concept. In a way, where, hey, we're backing this by a utility or some kind of, not a Ponzi scheme or whatever phrase they use to lure people in, and then lo and behold, it crumbles under their feet. So, this is a real utility investment, backed by a team that's already produced with a track record, with already earnings that are flowing through the system. So, the story is a very simple one to tell.
Bringing true external revenue, true businesses, not, gambling bots or, some of this stuff that we've seen in the past. So not only, I think, have we re-engineered and brought stability to the ROI DApp space, but I think when it comes to the problem of external revenue, you're going to witness Ark completely flip that on its head and really set the bar of what true external revenue is. And it's not gambling, my friends.
Yeah, and it's making an investment. I think this is an important point to make, or distinction. We've talked about external revenue, but really what we're doing is we're generating internal revenue. These are strategic businesses that we own and control, and it's verticalizing the revenue stream by increasing the stack of utilities that DeFi investors use every day. So as these investors come into our ecosystem, they're exposed to these additional products, and these are internal revenues that we're generating versus relying on another project with unknown entities, with unknown governance, with unknown security, potential landmines everywhere in their potential, in their environment, and bringing that inside to things that we own and control ultimately, that we can grow into very sizable businesses, that we can increase margins over time by taking over certain aspects of the technology. We can increase those margins as needed. We have control over those revenue streams, where they flow. So those allocations we need to tweak, tune, and move into areas of our business and our ecosystem that need help. We can do that. I think if we just threw that money over the fence, we'd be doing a disservice to our investors and not really achieving that long-term vision that we have to really turn this into a global fintech company, which is really what we are. So, and we can flash through these legacy NFT. Our audience here is very familiar, but just to give you an idea of how we're going to present this, this is a capped pool of investors, and we know the silver, the gold, the platinum. We know how many are available. We know how much they cost. We know what comes with them. Not only just the utilities in the Ark ROI DApp, but then also how those rewards get paid out. So that next slide was the dividend rewards. We can cruise through that, 20%. So nothing's changed in terms of how the legacy NFT works. The utilities are just now increased, and the revenue opportunities flowing back into the system are going to be numerous and plentiful. And then we finish up the presentation with the call to action to start earning with the legacy NFT and how we can do that. And obviously with the PWA now, that process can be downloading the app, using our crypto on-ramp to purchase BUSD, and then buy that legacy NFT right through the PWA on your mobile phone. So very simple, and one of the easiest investments to get involved in. And if we're looking for real utility, real DeFi utility, the legacy NFT, I think, checks all of the boxes.
Absolutely. So that's it, folks. We're going to go ahead. Let's keep the recording open because maybe we could answer a lot of questions from the community and hear some of the feedback. If we do want to forward this presentation, we could edit it later. So let's go ahead and open it up to some comments, questions. We'd love to hear from our legacy NFT family. You guys are amazing.
I have a question for Brett.
Go ahead.
Shoot, Catalyst.
Thinking ahead to when all of the legacy NFTs have been fully minted, if someone has a silver, are they no longer able to upgrade that once all the NFTs have been minted out?
Correct. Yeah, if they want to, so let's say all of the golds were minted, unless somebody minted up to a platinum and made that gold NFT available, they wouldn't be able to upgrade at that point.
Got it. So it has to be available, the upgrade. And then a follow-up question. There's been talk of the secondary market of being able to sell your NFT at some point after they're completely minted out. When that happens, would that option only be available to a maxed out wallet? Or
yes, you would have to have an unlocked NFT in order to sell it.
Which happens when you get maxed out, correct?
Correct. Yep. Yeah,
and
that's
that
why
marketplace, by the way, is already built.
Marketplace.
We have the marketplace. I mean, we've had it pretty much at launch.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah.
Has anyone?
The front end hasn't been completed, but all the contracts have been already created. As you know, we're just in the crawling stages, right, of the project, and there hasn't been much of a demand for anyone to go ahead and sell it.
Sure. Thank you. That's my question.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Catalyst, that you bring up is, what is the value of these legacy NFTs that are, backed by real world businesses that are constantly creating dividends? That could be an exit strategy for somebody that is an investor looking to eventually, cash out of legacy NFT. So yeah, that marketplace may come into play as we get to maturity and as we've sold and taken all of those legacy NFTs off the market. So good point.
For sure. Absolutely.
So I saw that we had questions from Terence, James, Kelly, and VJ. Terence put his hand up first, so I'll unmute you, sir, and you can ask your question. Go ahead, Terence.
Sorry, I was still muted. I want to say thank you very much. Phenomenal presentation. The best 2 hours I spent, honestly, in a long time. I'm very excited about all the different additions to the ecosystem, the roadmap over the next year and years to come. And, Atlas knows I went heavy last night. I was excited. Like, I was already geeked up before I got to see. I didn't know anything about this stuff. Like, that wasn't privy information to me. And so I'm very excited after I had made a decision last night to go harder, and then all of this. And then, just putting things in perspective and looking at, what we already variably earn. And then you add these utilities to it. Like, I mean, it's truly a reality that the NFTs at some point could rival what the vault is paying or even more, which is crazy when you put that in perspective. So once again, I love Ark and very happy to be a part of this ride. Excellent job, guys.
Thanks, Terence. Great to hear from you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Great stuff, Terence. James Kelly, you are next, sir. Go ahead and ask your question. You're unmuted. James Kelly, did you have a question?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can.
So I really like the I really like the tokenization. Commodities. Being there in the tokens. But whenever you've got gold backing a token, you're going to get a centralized entity involved at some point in that chain. So you're going from decentralization to centralization, as far as I can see, because I don't see any way you can have decentralized physical gold. So how do you see the issues with that? Because that's not so clear for me.
Yeah, I'll just maybe I'll make my comments and then Atlas can make his as well. So any fiat currency is unfortunately centralized, and having a stable coin in a USD fiat currency, you're automatically centralized. And we saw that happen when Paxos was given a Wells notice by the SEC. So obviously those anything that's a USD stablecoin is centralized at heart, even if you're playing on decentralized platforms and blockchains. And then the second point to that is that these vaults, these Boolean vaults, can be decentralized to a certain point in that we own and control the gold that's in there, but you can also have multiple facilities vaulting that gold. So that's kind of my perspective on that. I don't know if Atlas, you had any comments as well.
Well, we're going to jurisdictions where they respect you as a customer and they safeguard through their vault system your assets. So that's a very important part. Where is the gold and what are the rules, regulations, and laws in that jurisdiction? So a very important point. We haven't heard of Switzerland seizing people's gold because there was a court order, the gag order coming out of the United States. Great question. Who's next?
Next would be VJ. You are unmuted, sir. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hey, guys. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Amazing presentation, Brett and Atlas. I'm so proud of you guys, and I'm so proud of being part of this ride and this company. I mean, I used to be a VC, and I've listened to hundreds of pitches, and this was an extremely high quality presentation. Amazing vision, really well thought out, and yeah, it's just phenomenal. I'm really excited about the future, and I'm glad I'm an NFT holder as well as a pretty prominent investor in the vaults. So I just have one strategic question and one more of a tactical / operational question. The strategic question is, you guys were throwing up valuations of similar companies doing different things in sort of the spaces that ArkFi wants to address. So my question is, are you guys looking to raise either VC or private equity capital to command a valuation like this in the future? As I'm sort of like reading between the lines and thinking, maybe you guys want to do that. I mean, you have an install base of 4,600 customers already, and soon to grow, and with an operating model that where you've proven yourself that you can execute. You've taken a lot of the execution risk out, some of the market risk out. Yes, there's some technology risk, but I think you're addressing it beautifully with that infrastructure part B sort of plan. So that's my strategic question, and then I'll ask the other question after.
Maybe I'll go first, Atlas, and then you can give your perspective as well, kind of coming from that VC world. We talked a little bit about crowdfunding. I see the legacy NFT being the model, at least in this early growth phase, let's say the next 12 to 24 months, not opening it to institutional money, which can obviously put you under a lot more scrutiny, most likely requiring real world entities being involved and much deeper dive into financials and people and all those things. So staying true to DeFi for the foreseeable future, to me, is much more advantageous. We can obviously do business in a much more fluid way, I would say, much more rapid, more nimble way, which I love. I love the space that we're in right now. I love being able to go fast, create, introduce things on the fly to our DAO members, have them test. We release it to the public, we grow it, move it, keep raising the bar. Under a VC model, as you well know, there's a much different, I would say, control structure that's required, much more red tape, much more reporting, much more managerial bureaucracy that comes along with that for me personally isn't that attractive. I would much rather stay with our crowdfunding model through the legacy NFT and grow the business that way. And that would mean potentially expanding the number of NFTs, but that would obviously be up for a vote for the current legacy NFT model, our members. But I can say that we have discussed that for the phase 4, which was the layer 1, needing that kind of funding. But if we could do it privately through legacy NFTs in a decentralized way, that would be amazing. So, Atlas, did you want to make some comments on that?
Well, we come out of that corporate world into DeFi and really going for a whole nother experience and format and journey. So I'm completely in agreement with your point, Brett. But that doesn't take away the fact that there could be some upside and opportunities later as these businesses do expand, and it might be a very interesting proposition for the investors.
Okay, wonderful. I love the answer. I agree, by the way, with everything you said, Brett, about VCs demanding too much and taking board seats and influencing future direction. And but don't be surprised if Sequoia Capital comes knocking on your door, especially if you guys move to Polygon and they start seeing your success. I mean, they're pretty large investors in Polygon, as you well know. But no, love the answer. If you think that $6 million is enough to get home on all the plans that you've outlined, then so be it. Nothing like being decentralized and kind of using the model of raising capital through these NFTs. Just another question, more around the ROI product right now. And sort of the NFT, what is going to, so I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, Brett, towards the end of your presentation when you said that the ROI product is going to be more volatile, higher risk, and the price of the token could fluctuate. Obviously, it's been pretty steady so far, but we can all do the math, and just the 25 platinum NFT holders, in a couple months or maybe in a month, are going to start cashing out $1,000 a day each, on assuming that they haven't, that they've done the bare minimum and they're at that 93.7% or whatever. So you guys, I'm sure, have done the math, and the math is what it is. Now, I mean, if you were an investor, what is going to be a better investment? Buying and upgrading an NFT into a gold or platinum that can receive these future revenue streams, or putting big capital into the ROI DApp?
Yeah, I think there's still going to be appetite for both. I think what I said was probably relative to the legacy NFT. I think it's just based on the appetite for the ROI product, the daily ROI product, and we're going to see ebb and flow, I think. So kind of at a very high level, let's say that we get rapid growth in the utilities model, which is making the NFTs look amazing, then I can see that being potentially more attractive to someone with a longer term vision and wants to jump on board, because those are a limited number of NFTs available. So that, you know, we might see a FOMO pump in the legacy NFTs relative to the ROI DApp. But then back to your point, at some point, we're going to see rapid adoption of the ROI DApp. People see the revenues flowing in. Obviously, we're only going to be able to support a floor price of a certain amount with those revenues coming back from the utilities. Until those grow to a certain level, that price floor will only be able to be supported at a certain level. So maybe people will exit out of the ROI DApp and want to get into the legacy NFTs. So I think we're going to see some ebb and flow. Obviously, we can't maintain a price floor. If 1 million people come to the ROI DApp overnight, we can. If that's a much less attractive investment at this point in time, and the legacy NFTs are a more attractive investment, then we're going to see capital flow there. So it's really hard for us to predict. We know the math's the math. We think there will be a lot of people coming from other DeFi plays into the ROI DApp in the short term, because of what we're doing, because of what we're releasing on our roadmap, because of what our track record's already been. They see the PWA, they see the front end funnel system, they see the activity really happening here. They see the building and the future happening here. So I think that we'll see some high interest and growth into the ROI DApp, but obviously that's going to ebb and flow. It's really unpredictable. It is a higher risk, higher reward game to play. But you know, if you have a 94-day, 100-day time horizon in the ROI DApp, we're seeing a 2 to 3 year kind of time horizon in the legacy NFT play. So hard to predict, but I think we will see the supply and demand of the ROI DApp vary, where the utilities will be a very stable, growing over time type of business, and that legacy NFT kind of mirroring that, where that will be a slower growing but much longer term time horizon investment, and have a different risk tolerance for certain investors to get into the legacy NFT versus the ROI DApp.
And if I could add to that, the way I look at it, no one's really seen what an ROI DApp could do when you cross that bridge over to the real world. Understanding the amount of folks that are out there facing inflation, living paycheck to paycheck, and looking for a small hedge that is not a get rich quick overnight, but through time, it does make a huge difference. The mobile application is a total game changer in the space. Having the seamless, no KYC, pull your credit card out after you scanned, your buddy's code who's shown you what he's been able to do in the ROI DApp. And within a couple of minutes, you're in ArkFi, you're earning. We have packages as well that simplify, because for the average Joe, it needs to be simple. So that's another part that's been under development for quite some time. That's going to be coming forth very soon, where someone can just get their fiat credit card, come right in, and they're going to have exposure to the foundation. They're going to have exposure to the Ark Vault, and they're going to have exposure to, depending how much supply is left, into the legacy NFT. So I don't think that people really have grasped what's going to happen here and the inflows that are going to coming into the ROI DApp. And then as the banking products, the IBANs, the debit cards, having access to the cash, the virtual cards come into play, it's going to be so easy for folks to get a grasp and a hold of their profits. So we believe that's going to catch, right, like a wildfire, and you're going to see this thing just absolutely go massive.
Yeah, I'm super excited about the. Sorry, let's go ahead.
Yeah, so the whales in the systems, they're going to have to look in the mirror. They're going to have to make some hard choices. How they want to play their game, and we believe that if they're good investors, they're going to diversify, but they're also going to keep the best interest of the growth. You don't want to kill, right, the goose with the golden eggs. It's not smart investing. You're going to have to let this grow. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, on that point, Atlas, maybe you guys should consider some kind of a staking product. I mean, if somebody's earning 238 ArkFi a day when they've maxed their wallet out, with an NFT or without, that's $1,000 drain on the ILC of, per vault, per account on a daily basis. And there's no way that, you could bring in $1 million a month and it's not going to be enough, to maintain a decent price for the Ark token. I would urge you guys to think about some kind of a staking product where that ArkFi could be staked perhaps for some kind of revenue. So you're not seeing a drain on the ILC of a significant sort of magnitude. It's something, maybe we should all think about that, honestly.
That's already under development. We don't want to give too much away on that, but there's something we're working on that's another opportunity for the investors to come in, and that's going to be quite attractive. But again, it's going to be up to everyone to make their own decision.
Totally. Well, I've taken the floor for a long time. Thank you so much once again. Amazing presentation, really high quality, and congrats on the vision. And I'm totally on board. Thank you very much.
Thank you, VJ. Thank you for all your support, brother. Who's next?
All I got to say is wow. So, great job. I'm really excited about this one, Atlas.
Fantastic, brother. Thank you also for your support. You've been amazing here on the Ark and gave us your vote of confidence when there was nothing really out there yet, and you've been able to witness what's happened here, what this team's been able to accomplish in a very short amount of time, and I don't think you need a ruler to really see and compare to what's been put forth before. And we're not here to talk bad about anyone else. It's just to look at the facts of what we've been able to accomplish, and it is very clear. So thank you, brother.
Who we banging on? Who we banging on?
Everyone.
Love it. No, good job.
Who's next? Thank you, brother.
I haven't seen anybody else put their hand up, Atlas, but anyone that wants to ask a question, this is your opportunity. Put your hand up and we will unmute you and you can step up to the stage. Stephen Toast, go ahead, sir.
Hi. Yeah, great presentation and great vision. I was asking a question about Polygon. I actually know nothing about that chain. So from a user point of view, what would the sort of migration process look like? Thank you.
Great question, Stephen. It is an EVM compatible blockchain and layer 2. So pretty much a migration would entail a short pause on our current smart contracts and then migrating them over, moving the liquidity to Polygon. And most likely we're going to be going with ZK EVM. Great advantage that you're going to see there is transactions that are going to cost a fraction of a penny, as well as being surrounded and standing shoulder to shoulder with great companies in the space, as we've shown you there before. So very seamless and as simple as adding the new RPC and the Polygon chain to your MetaMask or your Web3 wallet. And when you open up the interface, you're going to find that everything's going to pretty much be the same as what you have here on Binance Smart Chain in the current DApp or mobile application. So not really any type of friction or of concern when we go ahead and make that process.
Yeah, so your address goes across, basically.
That is correct.
Yeah, and I like the sound of the transaction fees because even on Binance Smart Chain, they add up over time.
And as people conduct their due diligence and they're seeing banking products and They're understanding that there's a decentralized VPN service. It just doesn't fit with the Binance Smart Chain. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. There's too much that has happened. Too many people have been burned and taken advantage of. And anyone that spends a couple of minutes on Google will be able to find a lot of floating bodies and skeletons in the closet.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Okay, guys, we are 35 minutes over time, so we're going to give one last opportunity for anybody that wants to ask any questions. Please raise your hand and we will unmute you to step up. Nick, go ahead, sir. Nick, you are welcome to unmute your mic and ask your question.
Sorry about that. Yes, I missed the bulk of this presentation, I'm afraid. I caught the last 10 or 15 minutes, but not the main part. Would it be pinned at the top in the group, please?
Yes, it will.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
All right. I'd love to hear from Bizy Dips. He's a great supporter here of the Ark. I don't know if you're available to speak, sir.
Yes, sir. Wow. This is absolutely incredible, guys. I mean, we're really talking end-to-end solutions for users, aren't we? Come in with your fiat. You can use crypto payments. You can buy your crypto. You can buy your Ark. You can invest in your NFTs. Benefit from all of these utilities that are coming in. I just think this is... I mean, I think as Tiger Woods said, he was playing chess while others are playing checkers, and that's very much what I see with all of this. It's you guys are playing a completely different game to anything we've seen in this ROI DApp space, and it's incredibly exciting. I mean, you look at any of these utilities, just even on their own, they represent incredible business unit opportunities. But sort of when you package them up and you combine them. It's just incredible. There's an opportunity here to become a real powerhouse, and I love the move to Polygon too. I think that's a very good strategic move. Had to happen. Binance Smart Chain's really spluttering at the moment, and there's a lot of risk associated with it, in my view.
Great feedback, Bizy Dips, and looking forward. You guys have quite some work to create the new video for you guys.
well, we won't be struggling for content. We won't be struggling for content this week, that's for sure.
For quite some time. Absolutely.
Indeed. Now, there's so much to unpack.
Absolutely, sir.
Catalyst,
go right ahead.
On that note, regarding this content, is this like embargoed for a while, or I mean, until it's released to the public, or I mean, what are the rules?
Oh no, we're going out there and we're pushing. Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say that the Badgers are going to do their weekly and cover the aspects of the presentation. I'm not sure how in depth, but they have free reign to use the presentation and go through this. And communicate to the public through their YouTube weekly summary, and then I'm sure that those show notes will trickle back to you, Catalyst. So you'll be involved in that public release of the roadmap information. So be ready.
Sounds like all right. I'll
get your Chat GBT bot warmed up.
Yes, sir.
As the editor in chief here, Catalyst, you have full reign, my friend.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Great stuff. We have another question from Here Miko. You are unmuted. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, thank you. I just wanted to say that I really liked what I've seen. I'm still new to crypto space, so I'm still learning a lot. But I have a fair bit of a good understanding of the business. And this presentation answered the two big questions I always had in any crypto project, that how this project gonna survive and thrive for long term, and how can it be sustainable. So you answered that one. So I'm very happy about that. And the other question I always had was if you are using the stable coin pegged to US dollars, which is decaying, how that's going to work for the entire ecosystem. And you answered that as well. So I'm very happy watching this presentation. So thank you so much.
Thank you for your feedback. Great to hear from you, Hiyami Ko. Who else would like to ask a question or a comment? Derek's been very quiet. Would you like to speak, Derek, or is there anybody else? Ryan?
Bob, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I had a couple of doctor's appointments we had to run out to take care of. This just got back 2 minutes ago, and so I know I missed the entire thing. I read somewhere this is being recorded, right? I'll be able to catch up on what transpired.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yes. As soon as we're done here, it's going to be pinned. We are blocking, forwarding, or copying any of the material that's happening here at the DAO, but as a member and investor, you are in the group and you'll have full access to go ahead and watch that. We're going to be doing another presentation for the rest of the community. That's going to be maybe tomorrow or on Monday, so we can bring them all up to speed as well. But we wanted to give all of you folks the first access, and we're going to be proposing a vote, I believe later in the week, as we want as many legacy NFT holders to have an opportunity to come into the Telegram group here, watch the presentation. We're going to be talking about this, as you can imagine, quite a lot over in the main chat and all of the podcasts, answering questions that investors are going to have. And once we feel that there's been enough of the investors that have come in and had a chance to look at this presentation, look at the recording, we're going to go ahead and move to a vote so we can hear your voice and your opinions as to moving forward.
Great, thank you, Alice. Yeah, because like I said, I just missed the entire thing. Just walked in the door now, and it was like, oh, I knew I wanted to hear this too today. So it's great. At least I'll be able to hear the recording in a little bit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Derek, I saw you put your hand up. Go ahead, sir. You are unmuted. Derek, we can't hear you very well, if at all.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
No, sir. I can see you talking, but I cannot hear you.
Meanwhile, Donatello or anybody else, Chris Dugan, you're all welcome. If we can go ahead and unmute everybody, see if there's any last folks that want to go ahead and speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm at a cheer competition out in Wisconsin. But yeah, I'm excited. Can't really talk much. I know it's kind of loud in here, but yeah, to me it gives me more content to push. I've been waiting on it, and I'm excited to be able to push it. But yeah, great things to come. Still early, but it's awesome. I'm glad to see it.
Yes, sir. Thank you for all the work you've been doing for the Ark, man. You've been absolutely amazing with all your content.
Yeah, great presentation, guys. That roadmap shows an exceptional future for the Ark team. looking forward to seeing it transpire.
Thank you, Mr. Dugan, for all your support and help as well. All right, I guess that brings us to the end, as there's no one else that's stepping forward and muting their microphone. Thanks for every one of you that came out today for your faith in this team and this project and this community, and for your continued support. This community of investors is absolutely amazing. And it is really a pleasure for us to serve you and to make the decisions. Sometimes they're a bit difficult, but we believe in the responsibility that we have with every single one of you, and have really created this roadmap to be able to bring back to you so much more than the offers and what's really available out there, and do it in a way that I believe is quite special, with a commitment to hard work, quality product, and integrity. So we'll be answering more questions. If you want to come on over to the podcast, as you know, we do that every single day. And through this chat, feel free to ask further questions and stay tuned to a lot of the information as we bring it online, as the products for the on and off ramp are already live, and they're going to be coming to the application, the D app, and the mobile app very, very shortly. Thank you for all your support, and we wish you all a wonderful day. Thank you.